Hello, America, to our friends around the world. Greetings and welcome back. As you can see with the title there, Enterprise. This was from the first episode, Broken Bow. So, the reason I wanted to share this, because this is something that I accidentally, unintentionally, uh, participated in history to a small degree. There's the original uh, Enterprise crew. The Space Shuttle Enterprise had the original Star Trek cast. I don't know if all of them were there, but several of them were present. So most of you are probably aware of that piece of trivia. So I want to show you this part right coming up. Um, there was a moment when I had seen this, where I had viewed it. It was at a place called the Kelso Theater pub, and I'm going to bring that image up here in a moment. But when this name popped up, the place erupted. They saw Connor Trineer on the marquee or on the credits, and everyone there went wild. Now, if you're one of those that is heavy into trivia about Star Trek and who played who and where they came from and so forth, you already know where I'm going with this. For those that aren't aware, because I wasn't aware, I walk in. I had just come from dinner across town, at the Red Lobster in Kelso, and I had learned about the theater pub having Enterprise, the first episode. And I took my kid there, and invited other family to attend with us, but no, they had other things going on. So my kid and I went instead by ourselves. We walk in the lobby, and there was KPTV 12, the local affiliate, which was broadcasting Enterprise, and they always had aired Star Trek, even back in the late 70s, 80s. There was, 4 o'clock. It was Buck Rogers or Battlestar Galactica or Star Trek, Wonder Woman. 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. It was fun times when you only had 6 channels to choose from. Anyway, so the Kelso Theater pub is in Kelso. It's across the street, roughly, from where the new City Hall is located. And it's also where I learned of the value of a good feta cheese pizza. So what happened is, apparently Mr. Trineer's parents didn't have cable, and the people that owned the theater pub, I don't know if they owned it at the time, but several of them had worked at Trojan nuclear power plant that was decommissioned, in the process of being decommissioned, and they had bought it, refurbished it, and turned it into a dining and movie watching environment. There were live comedy shows in addition to movies, and the standout, though, was the premiere of Enterprise, because Connor Trineer was a graduate of Kelso High School. He's a few years ahead of me. I've never met the guy. I had no idea he was from Kelso, but I'm sitting there, and when the place blew up in applause and cheers, I thought, well, that's pretty cool, because I thought they were cheering for the Phoenix from the Star Trek First Contact, and I thought, well, that's that's great that you're excited about a movie from a few years ago, but I'm not understanding how come. And then the next day, I learned the reason, because the Channel 12 reran the news saying they were there, which I was able to confirm because of Connor Trineer, and apparently his mother had called to say, "Hey, we saw you," and so did all of Longview and Kelso and everyone, all the other towns around. So I remember, the next day, having the local paper, standing in line at Subway, and I was reading over the reviews of the television show, and somebody in line had asked me about it. and I had mentioned that I had seen it the previous night or the previous one of the previous two nights or something to that at the Kelso Theater pub. Um, and I don't know, if I was aware of it then, but yeah, it was just a little piece of history, a little piece of trivia that I've always enjoyed. A lot of it is because of the fact that I was able to share it with my child, and that made the moment even better. Because a lot of us, you perhaps you're this way. You grew up with it, whether it was the original series or the animated series or the Next Generation, the movies, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. I remember watching the finale of Voyager with a coworker of mine, and he was roommates with a guy that I had gone to high school with, and the three of us were watching, and they did a promo for Enterprise, and we joked that they didn't include Cisco in the list of captains, and then they made a new promo including Cisco. But the build up, I had to say, was very solid. The build up, and nowhere during that time did I know, and far as I know, the other two, I I don't know if they knew or if they did. They kept it under their hat and they never shared it with me. This the surprise of finding out that the guy that plays Trip Tucker was from Kelso, and his parents apparently lived over in Longview. And another piece of trivia: Longview's Lake Sacagawea has a walking path, and it's over 3 miles that is the perimeter of the lake near St. John's Hospital there. And as you're walking, they have brass plates mounted into the ground that give approximate distances of planets from the sun. And it tells you, roughly, so as you're doing your 3.25 mile walk, you see these plates and you find yourself passing Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and so forth throughout the solar system, including Pluto. So, Bert and Guster should be able to smile, you know, about Pluto.
You heard about Pluto? It's messed up.
So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there for you. It was more of a personal, anecdotal trivia connection for me, being an inadvertent part of Star Trek history by being at the Kelso Theater pub, which, if it's still open, I'd recommend checking it out. They have comfortable booths to sit at with bench tables to put your food with plenty of leg room. It was great. I enjoyed that time. I enjoyed the excitement of the people in the room. I was a little baffled at first as to the news cameras there. Uh, as I stated earlier, a little bit caught off guard by the complete eruption of cheers and applause for what I thought was the Phoenix, and later learned it was because of Connor Trineer. And as I stated, I wasn't aware he was from Kelso, Longview. I wasn't aware he graduated from Kelso, that his parents lived in Longview. I later learned that he had gone to school, college in Tacoma, um, at I think Pacific Lutheran up there. Anyway, feta cheese pizza, if it's still there, it was good 20 some years ago. There's the Maltese, there's the thrift store, there's the Maltese is a bar and pool table, a pool lounge, where you can shoot billiards, shoot pool, or as I like to say, shoot darts and throw pool. I don't know. I don't like to say that. I just depends on where I'm at, what mood frame of mind I'm at. Anyway, so the Kelso Theater pub, it was interesting. It was unique in being able to have the premiere of Enterprise, and finding out later it's because 5 miles away from where I lived, where his parents lived, type of thing. And not that that matters anything, but I just find the opportunity to have been able to be part of something on that level. It was completely unplanned and accidental, and apparently even the theater pub hosting the event was organic and unscripted and unplanned. So things happen. You just got to be open to them happening, I suppose. So if they're still in business, check it out. If not, revel in the heyday of what it was. If you're in that region, well, explore Kelso for what it's worth. The Northwest has some eccentric places to explore. Kelso's an old logging town. Longview's an old logging town. These things aren't exactly massive attractions, but you travel another hour westward to Astoria, and there's the Astor Column, renamed the Astoria Column, that was partially funded by John Jacob Astor's great grandson, for a commemorative project. Clark Gable, another actor, Gone with the Wind, he has a brass plate stapled into the ground across the street from what's called the Pig and Pancake along Highway 30. So, if you're not from the Pacific Northwest, there's reasons to avoid it, as you've been seeing from people such as C.K. I always butcher her name, but Honey Badger Mom, Katie Davenport and Cam Higby and a whole bunch of others that have been posting about the craziness going on. But when things decide to settle down and the weather's good, because at present it's pouring down rain, the Pacific Northwest has a lot of things to see. The author of the book Fight Club, another name I'm going to butcher, Chuck Palahniuk, lived in Portland for a period of time and wrote a book called Fugitives and Refugees, A Visitor's Guide to Portland. A lot of the things that he detailed no longer exist, but if you have the opportunity to get your hands on the book and you're not, even if you live in the area and you've never heard of the book, it's worth checking out and exploring. There's the Candlestick in Scappoose. There's a 12-foot tall bunny rabbit in Aloha or Hillsboro. There's a B-25 bomber off of 99. There's a castle nightclub that's falling in on itself. There's a windmill near 205. Those are just some of the things that were listed. So, with that, a bit of nostalgia and eccentric trivia, Star Trek trivia at that. Thank you. And as America Uncovered recommends, put a flag emoji in the comments. Do the likes, subscribe, share, and have a good day.
Sean, where are you? And why do you sound muffled?
Must be coming down with something, buddy. I'll call you later.
Wait, Sean!
What's happening, baby?
Afternoon, Mr. Guster.
Did you hear about Pluto?